I still remember the exact moment I hit send. My thumb hovered over my cousin Sarah's name in the group chat for maybe 3 seconds. 3 seconds where I could have stopped. But I didn't. I told myself it was just venting, just sharing with my friends what Sarah had confided in me 2 nights earlier, crying on my couch at 2 a.m. about the abortion she'd had at 17. The one no one in our Catholic family knew about. The one that still haunted her at 29. I typed it all out. Every detail. Her shame, her guilt, the boy's name, how our aunt would literally die if she ever found out. I added a crying, laughing emoji. Made it sound like gossip, like entertainment. Within 6 hours it was everywhere. Sarah and I weren't just cousins. We were the kind of close that people assumed we were sisters. We'd shared a bedroom during summer vacations, practiced our wedding vows together when we were 12, been each other's maid of honor in the weddings we'd planned but never had. When my mom died when I was 19, Sarah was the one who slept in my bed for 3 months because I couldn't stand being alone. She was the only person who'd ever really loved me. Not the performance of me, not the version I showed at work or family gatherings, the real me. The mean parts, the petty parts, the parts that made jokes at funerals and got jealous when other people succeeded. She loved me anyway. My boyfriend of 4 years, Marcus, loved the idea of me, the Instagram version. The girl who meal prepped and went to hot yoga and laughed at his friends' sexist jokes. But Sarah knew I ate ice cream for dinner 3 times a week and had gone to hot yoga exactly twice. She knew I faked half my personality to keep Marcus interested. I'd been feeling stuck, 28, working a job I hated, living with a man I was starting to realize I'd settled for because he had a good salary and nice parents. My friends, the ones I'd sent Sarah's secret to, they all seemed to have everything figured out. Engagement rings, promotion announcements, vacation photos in Greece. I had nothing interesting to share, nothing that made me seem important, so I shared Sarah's pain instead. It started so small, so stupid. We were at brunch, the kind where everyone's half drunk on mimosas by 11 and competing to tell the crazy story. Chelsea was talking about her sister's messy divorce. Ava was sharing about her coworker's affair. Everyone was laughing, gasping, asking for more details. I wanted that attention. Oh my god, you guys won't believe what Sarah told me. I started. I can still see their faces leaning in. The validation felt like a drug. By the time I got home that afternoon I'd already started regretting it. But then Chelsea texted the group chat asking for more details, and instead of shutting it down, I typed it all out. Made it a story, added context I had no right to share. I justified it by telling myself Sarah would never know. These were my friends, not hers. They didn't even follow her on social media. What were the odds it would get back to her? I'm so fucking stupid. Chelsea's boyfriend knew Sarah's ex. That's all it took. One connection. He mentioned it to someone who mentioned it to someone else, and by Friday afternoon, Sarah's aunt, our aunt, the woman who'd helped raise us both, called her screaming. Sarah texted me that night, just one message. Was it you? I stared at those 3 words for 20 minutes. I could have lied. Could have said someone else must have overheard, that I'd never betray her like that. But I was already crying so hard I could barely see my phone, and somewhere deep down I knew this was it. The end of everything that mattered. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. It just slipped out and she didn't let me finish. Don't ever contact me again. That was it. 12 words total and then nothing. She blocked me on everything. Phone, Instagram, Facebook, even Venmo. I tried calling from Marcus's phone. She answered once, heard my voice and hung up. I showed up at her apartment the next morning. She wouldn't open the door. I sat in the hallway for 2 hours crying, begging her to let me explain. Her neighbor threatened to call the police. Marcus told me I was overreacting. She'll forgive you eventually. She's your cousin. Family is family. He didn't get it. He'd never had someone who actually knew him. He didn't understand that Sarah wasn't just family. She was the only person who'd ever seen me completely and chosen to stay anyway, and I'd sold her out for 30 seconds of attention from people I didn't even like. The worst part wasn't even her cutting me off. It was realizing in the days after, how much I'd depended on her for everything. She was the person I called when Marcus pissed me off, the person who talked me down from quitting my job every other month, the person who reminded me I was more than my worst thoughts about myself. Without her, I was just hollow. My friends, the ones I'd told, tried to act sympathetic at first. Oh my god, we had no idea it would spread like that. But I could see it in their eyes. They didn't respect me anymore. I'd proven I couldn't be trusted. Chelsea stopped inviting me to things. Ava got distant. Within 3 weeks, the group chat I'd sent that message to had gone quiet whenever I posted. They'd seen exactly who I was. Someone who'd betray the person who loved her most for a moment of relevance. Marcus and I started fighting more. He couldn't understand why I was so dramatic about losing touch with a cousin. You barely even saw her that much, he'd say, which was technically true but also completely missing the point. We didn't have to see each other every day. We just had to know the other person existed, that we weren't alone. I tried therapy. The therapist asked me why I'd done it, and I couldn't give her a real answer. I just kept saying, I don't know until she moved on to other questions, but I did know. I did it because I wanted to feel important. I wanted to be the center of attention. I wanted to have the best story, the most shocking confession, the most dramatic update. I'd traded Sarah's trust for the brief high of being interesting to people who didn't actually care about me. I wrote her a 10-page letter, poured everything into it. Apologies, explanations, memories of all the times she'd saved me. I mailed it to her apartment. It came back unopened with return to sender, written in her handwriting. That's when I realized she meant it. This wasn't a cooling off period. This was forever. Sarah had been planning to ask me to be the godmother to her future kids. She told me that the night she'd confided in me actually. Said she couldn't imagine trusting anyone else with something that important. She'd cried in my arms about the abortion because she was terrified she'd somehow messed up her ability to have children later. And I'd held her and promised her secret was safe. 2 nights later I made it public entertainment. Marcus proposed on my 29th birthday. I said yes because I couldn't think of a reason to say no. Sarah wasn't there to tell me I was making a mistake, wasn't there to ask me if I actually loved him or if I was just scared of being alone. The engagement felt empty. I posted a photo of the ring and got 400 likes, but none of them were from the one person whose opinion mattered. I started stalking Sarah's social media from fake accounts. Watched her life continue without me. She looked happier, honestly, lighter. I'd apparently been more of a burden than I realized. She started dating someone new, a guy named David who looked kind in photos. She posted pictures of them hiking, at concerts, cooking dinner together. In every photo she looked free, like she'd been released from something heavy. That something was me. 6 months after I'd sent that message, I ran into her at the grocery store. She was in the produce section picking out avocados. I froze. She looked up, saw me, and her face went completely blank. Not angry, not sad, just nothing. She turned her cart around and walked away. Didn't speed up, didn't rush. Just calmly chose to go in a different direction, like I was a stranger she had no interest in acknowledging. I stood there in the middle of the store and cried so hard a manager came over to ask if I was okay. That night, I told Marcus I couldn't marry him. He was furious. Called me selfish, said I'd wasted 4 years of his life, asked what the hell was wrong with me. Everything I wanted to say, everything is wrong with me. He moved out within a week. Took the furniture we'd bought together, left me with a half-empty apartment and a lease I couldn't afford alone. I thought hitting rock bottom would feel more dramatic. Instead it was just quiet. Just me alone in an apartment that echoed, realizing I'd systematically destroyed every meaningful relationship in my life. And for what? For 3 seconds of attention from people who'd forgotten about me a week later. I saw Sarah's aunt, our aunt, at a family funeral 8 months after everything fell apart. She looked right through me. When I tried to say hello, she turned her back and walked away. Sarah had told everyone what I'd done. Not for revenge, I learned later from a younger cousin, but because people kept asking why we weren't close anymore, and she'd gotten tired of lying. The family picked sides, they picked hers. Obviously I was uninvited from Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, every wedding, every baby shower, every funeral. I'd been excommunicated from the only family I had left. My dad called me once. What the hell did you do? He asked. Sarah's mother won't even mention your name anymore. I tried to explain, but it just came out as excuses. He listened, then said, you know your mother would be ashamed of you, and hung up. He wasn't wrong. I'd become the cautionary tale at family gatherings, the cousin who couldn't be trusted, the one who'd throw you under the bus for a laugh. A year after I sent that message, I was alone on my 30th birthday. No Marcus, no friends, no Sarah. I ordered takeout and ate it on my couch, scrolling through old photos of us. There were hundreds. Sarah and me at 6 years old, covered in mud. At 14, awkward with braces and bad haircuts. At 21, drunk at her graduation party. At 25, both of us crying at our grandmother's funeral, holding onto each other like we were the only solid things in the world. I'd had everything I needed. Everything that mattered. And I destroyed it because I was too empty, too desperate, too selfish to understand what I had until it was gone. Sarah got engaged, I found out from Facebook from a post I wasn't even supposed to be able to see. Someone must have left their privacy settings open. The ring was beautiful. David looked at her like she was the only person in the room. The wedding was in October. I wasn't invited. Obviously heard later it was beautiful, elegant, small, just close family and real friends. People who hadn't betrayed her for social currency. I sent a card with no return address. Just, I'm sorry. I love you. I hope you're happy. I don't know if she opened it. The thing about burning a bridge like this is that you don't just lose the person, you lose the future. I'll never meet her kids, never be at her baby showers or birthday parties, never get late night texts asking for advice, never have someone who remembers my mother the way she did, who can tell me stories I've forgotten. I severed my connection to every good memory I had, and I did it in 3 seconds. 3 seconds where I could have stopped, but I didn't. 2 years after I hit send, I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment 40 minutes from where I used to live. I moved because I couldn't handle running into people who knew what I'd done anymore. The grocery store incident broke something in me. Seeing Sarah look at me like I was nothing, like I'd never mattered, like every moment we'd shared was just erased. That image plays on a loop in my head at 3 a.m. when I can't sleep. I can't sleep most nights. I lost my job about 6 months after everything fell apart, not directly because of what I'd done, but the fallout made me so unreliable that eventually they just let me go. I'd been calling in sick, missing deadlines, crying in the bathroom during lunch breaks. My performance reviews went from exceeds expectations to needs improvement to here's your severance package. I work at a coffee shop now. It's fine. It's whatever. Nobody there knows who I used to be. The worst part of ruining your life is that life just keeps going. The world doesn't stop. People don't form a committee to help you fix what you broke. You just wake up every day in the wreckage and have to figure out how to exist in it. I tried dating, downloaded all the apps. Went on maybe 15 first dates in 6 months. Most guys never called back. The ones who did I sabotaged. I'd get drunk and tell them the whole story about Sarah, about what I'd done, like I was compelled to confess. Like I needed them to see how awful I was up front so they could reject me properly. They always did. One guy, Daniel, made it to a 3rd date. He seemed kind, patient. When I told him about Sarah, he just nodded and said, everyone makes mistakes. But I could see it in his eyes. He was calculating, wondering if I'd do the same thing to him, wondering if he could trust me with anything real. He stopped responding to my texts a week later. I don't blame him. I wouldn't trust me either. My therapist, the new one I found after my insurance changed, keeps trying to get me to work on self-forgiveness. She uses phrases like, you're not defined by your worst moment, and everyone deserves grace. But here's what she doesn't get: some things you don't deserve to be forgiven for. Some things you just have to live with. I destroyed the best relationship in my life for literally nothing. For a story I told to people who aren't even in my life anymore. Chelsea got married last year. I saw the photos on Instagram. I wasn't invited. We haven't spoken in 18 months. The group chat I sent Sarah's secret to doesn't exist anymore. Everyone just kind of drifted away. Or they created a new one without me. I'll never know which. I'm the ghost in my own life. I tried reaching out to Sarah one more time on what would have been our grandma's 100th birthday. Sent her a message from a new email address she hadn't blocked yet. Just a few lines. I think about grandma every day. I know you do too. I'm sorry I won't get to remember her with you anymore. I'm sorry for everything. She never responded. But the next day that email address was blocked too. She's been married for over a year now. I know because I still check her Instagram from fake accounts. Even though my therapist has explicitly told me to stop, I can't help it. It's like pressing on a bruise. She looks so happy. She posted a photo last month with the caption, "Starting renovations on our first home. The house is beautiful. Yellow with white shutters, a big front porch, the kind of place where you'd have family barbecues and kids would run around catching fireflies. I'll never see it in person." She's pregnant. I found out 3 weeks ago from another privacy sleep up in someone's shared post. Due in January. It's a girl. I cried for 2 hours when I saw the announcement. Not just because I'd lost my chance to be her godmother, which I had, but because I realized I'd never hold that baby. Never watch her grow up. Never be aunt anything to anyone in Sarah's life ever again. I deleted myself from her future entirely. My dad still barely talks to me. We exchange texts on holidays, but they're cold, perfunctory. "Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving? No, I love you." No real conversation. Last Father's Day I tried to call him. He answered, but I could tell he was busy, distracted. After 3 minutes of awkward small talk, he said, "I've gotta go. Your cousin Sarah's here with David. We're grilling out." He said it casually, didn't realize it was a knife. Sarah was at my father's house, the house I grew up in. Having the kind of easy Sunday I used to have with her, and I wasn't invited, wasn't even considered. I'd been replaced, erased. "That's great, Dad. Tell her I said hi," I managed to say, even though we both knew he wouldn't. "Sure. Take care," and he hung up. I haven't called him since. The holidays are the worst. I spend them alone now. Last Christmas I worked a double shift at the coffee shop because it was easier than sitting in my apartment imagining Sarah's first Christmas as a married woman. Imagining the whole family together without me. I wonder if they talk about me. If I'm the story they tell to warn younger cousins. Remember what happened to Jess, don't be like Jess. I wonder if Sarah's daughter will grow up hearing my name as a cautionary tale. Your mom had a cousin once who betrayed her trust. That's why we don't share other people's secrets. I'll be the villain in someone's origin story. I tried to rebuild some kind of social life. Joined a book club, went to a few meetups for people in their 30s, made some surface-level friends. But I can't get close to anyone. As soon as someone starts to trust me with something real, something vulnerable, I panic. What if I do it again? What if this is just who I am? Someone who can't be trusted with love. I spent so much time trying to understand why I did it. My therapist says it was probably a combination of low self-esteem, comparison culture, and a desperate need for external validation. That I was so disconnected from my own worth that I needed constant proof that I mattered. Even if that proof came from violating someone else's trust. She's probably right. But knowing why doesn't change what happened. I still wake up some mornings and forget, for just a second, that Sarah isn't in my life anymore. I'll think of something funny I want to text her, or I'll see something that reminds me of an inside joke we had, and then I remember, she's gone, and she's gone because of me. I saw her once more about 6 months ago. I was picking up groceries and she was getting into her car in the parking lot. Very pregnant by then, probably 7 or 8 months, glowing the way pregnant women do in movies. I didn't approach her, didn't call out. I just watched from a distance as she struggled to load grocery bags into her trunk, her hand on her belly, laughing at something David said. She looked so content, so whole, and I was happy for her. I genuinely was, even though it killed me. That's the thing they don't tell you about betrayal. It's not that the other person can't move on. It's that they can. They do. And you're the only one still stuck in the moment you ruined everything. I've thought about writing her another letter. A real one this time. Not asking for forgiveness, because I know that's not coming. Just explaining. Telling her that I understand now what I gave up. That I'd do anything to take it back. That I'd become a different person in the wake of losing her. Even if that person is just defined by absence and regret. But I won't, because at this point it would just be selfish. Another way of making my pain her problem. She's moved on. She's built a life that doesn't include me. The kindest thing I can do is leave her alone. So I will. I'll watch from the shadows as she has her baby. As she raises her daughter. As she celebrates anniversaries and birthdays and all the moments I'll never be part of. I'll live with what I've done. The coffee shop is hiring for a manager position. My boss mentioned I should apply. It would mean more money, more responsibility, something to work toward. But I can't imagine a future that feels real anymore. It all just feels like killing time. I'm 31 now, alone in an apartment I can barely afford, estranged from my family, friendless, dating nobody, working a job that doesn't matter, living a life that feels like a punishment. And the worst part, I did this to myself. Nobody forced me to hit send. Nobody held a gun to my head and made me betray the one person who loved me unconditionally. I chose 30 seconds of attention over a lifetime of connection. I choose wrong. My therapist asked me last week what I've learned from all of this. I told her the truth. I learned that some mistakes don't get fixed. Some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt. Some people, once lost, are gone forever. I learned that trust is fragile and precious and irreplaceable. I learned that the people who love you despite your flaws are rare, and if you're lucky enough to have one, you protect that relationship like your life depends on it. Because it does. I learned that attention is worthless. That being interesting to people who don't actually care about you is the emptiest currency in the world. I learned that you can lose everything that matters in 3 seconds. And I learned that you can spend the rest of your life trying to take back something you said and never, ever succeed. Sarah's daughter was born 3 weeks ago. I know because my dad posted a photo on Facebook. He's holding her beaming with the caption, "Proud grandfather." Sarah's in the background, exhausted and radiant, David's arm around her. They named her Grace. I stared at that photo for an hour. This tiny human. This perfect little girl who will grow up surrounded by love. who will have Sarah as a mother and David as a father and a whole family who will protect her and teach her, and show her what real connection looks like. And I'll never meet her. Grace will grow up knowing her mom had a cousin who broke her trust. She'll learn probably when she's a teenager about the person who shared her mother's deepest secret for social approval. She'll understand on some level that not everyone who claims to love you is safe. Sarah's pain will have taught her daughter a lesson about boundaries and trust, and I'll be the cautionary tale. Last night I deleted all my fake Instagram accounts. Stopped checking Sarah's social media. My therapist was right. It was only making things worse. I need to let her go, really let her go, not just physically but in my head, in my heart, in the constant loop of what if, and if only, that's been running for 3 years. She's living her life, I need to try to live mine, even if mine feels smaller now, quieter, lonelier, even if I wake up every single day and remember what I did, even if I know I'll never stop being sorry. I'm writing this as a warning to anyone who thinks betraying someone's trust is worth it, who thinks the momentary high of gossip or attention or feeling important is worth the cost. It's not. Whatever you gain in that moment, you lose 1,000 times over in the years that follow. I lost my best friend, my family, my sense of self, my ability to trust myself with other people's vulnerability, my chance at being part of something bigger than myself. I lost everything that mattered, and I can never get it back. If you're reading this and you're about to hit send on something you shouldn't, stop, put the phone down, walk away, do literally anything else, because 3 seconds is all it takes to destroy everything, and a lifetime isn't long enough to fix it. I know Sarah will never read this. She's blocked me everywhere, and even if she stumbled across it somehow, she wouldn't care. She's moved on, she's happy, she's free. But if she did read it, I'd want her to know I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You deserved better than me, you always did. And Grace is lucky to have a mother who knows how to set boundaries, who knows her own worth, who won't let toxic people drain her light. I hope Grace grows up happy. I hope she's funny and kind and strong like her mom. I hope she never knows what it's like to be betrayed by someone who claimed to love her. And I hope Sarah knows, somewhere deep down, that losing her was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Not because I want her sympathy or her forgiveness, but because it's true. She was everything good in my life, and I threw her away like she was nothing. That's the last lesson, I guess. The final thing I learned too late: some people are irreplaceable, and once they're gone, there's just an empty space where they used to be. A space that never gets filled by anyone else. A space that echoes. I'll carry that space with me for the rest of my life, and maybe that's exactly what I deserve.